Hello guys, today we're going to be doing a video on LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga using the RTX 3080. We're running a Ryzen 5900X with 64GB of RAM running at 3200 MHz. Alright, let's jump into the settings. We're going to be starting it off with the CPU test, like we are doing now, and then jump up to 1080p, 1440p, and then 4K. We are going to be running the game in the max preset. We're going to be starting this off with 1080p just to give the game the best chance at performing well. Let's go ahead and double check our settings. 1080p max settings. Yep, okay. Awesome. We are getting 100 FPS right now, but the game does perform well at the start and it degrades the performance as we go. The performance pretty much degrades once we see C3PO and R2D2 as a second point of view. That's pretty much when we lose our FPS. CPU is pretty much not doing anything. Half our cores is sitting at 0%. We pretty much have 2 or 3 active cores that are like actually being used above 50%. The rest are sitting at 0%, 6%, and 10%. Alright, and as you can see, once we get our second point of view, we fall into the 50s, the 40s, the 60s. The frame rates are very unstable now once we get that second camera of Anakin, as you can see. So pretty much what's causing the FPS drop is just that second camera, but it's still performing decently well. I've seen this hit like the mid 30s as well, so it's running better than normal, I will say that. Alright, I've disabled that CPU overlay now just so we can have a normal benchmark. I'll go ahead and finish this level off just to show how it performs in its worst case scenario. And I'll be doing 1440p 4K as well on this level, and then I will go ahead and show something that is more normal for this game. Like these kind of levels only happen a couple of times. It happened once on Endor, and it happens on Droid Factory obviously. For like 90% of your play, you're not going to be experiencing really bad frame rate. So alright, 1440p. Again, we shouldn't really have an FPS issue at this point since we just increased our resolution and we already had a 20 to 30% GPU headroom, so we should be pretty much playing at the same sort of frame rate. No, oh, it's close. Frame rate actually has gotten worse as we played through the level. Pretty much barely holding on to 40. So we shouldn't really have any issues playing this game at 4K with the way it's running right now. We have plenty of headroom to go ahead and push it up to 4K. And it should still run fine. Let's go ahead and play this and push this up to 4K since we're close to the end of the level. There we go, 3840 by 2160. We shouldn't have any other issues at all. We should still be running same frame rate as before since we went GPU bound. So yeah, it's still sitting at 40 FPS. GPU sitting around 70%, so we've still got plenty of headroom. So we should be able to play this game at 60 FPS at 4K max settings. No problem at all. I forgot to mention this at the start of the video, but I've also gotten a new mic, so let me know if it sounds better than before, or if it sounds the same, or even if it sounds worse. Sometimes we do get some dips into the low 200s, but wow, we're actually in the 300s now, it's crazy. GPU is sitting around 50% usage, sometimes boosting up to 70% usage, so we've still got a very big headroom on our GPU side. So like I was saying before on Droid Factory, we can definitely play this game at 4K max setting, as you would expect with a 3080. And we should probably be getting 90 to 100 FPS around there. Now there's also a scene at the end of this level where we have the ability to use a turret, and turrets usually do cause an FPS drop in this game. So I'm kind of looking forward at seeing how it runs at 4K in that section. They don't want to attack me because I'm Darth Vader. What is this camera? I get into a fight, we drop down into the high 100s, the 170s, the 190s. Okay, I mean, our frame rate seems pretty similar to what it was before. Since we went GPU bottleneck before, we were still sitting around like 50 to 60% GPU usage. Now we're sitting still at 60% to 70% now, so it's slightly moved up. Our average frame rate has definitely dropped. We were holding 200 FPS at least, I believe. Now we're sitting in the 170s, 180s. Obviously we're in a new area, so maybe if I go back to where to the area that we came from, we'll gain our FPS back, and it doesn't seem to be that way at all. 180. Yeah, 180 FPS is the most that I've seen it at 1440p. 191. I have not seen a GPU get maxed out yet, which is kind of interesting. I believe with the 3060 Ti video, it definitely did get maxed out, especially at 4K. But 1080p, I don't think I did. The 3060 Ti got maxed out. Let's get this and go back to our ship. VRAM is sitting at 3 gigs. We got plenty to spare even at 4K. 3 gigabytes of VRAM is nothing. I remember with episode 4, once you use turrets, you lost quite a bit of your FPS. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this out with the turret here. We're sitting at 230 FPS here. The frame rate is kind of unstable. It jumps around like from the 160s to the 240s, so it's a wide range, I guess. And if you shoot, we fall into the 110s. And then once we stop shooting, we jump back up to 160, 170, 174. So the turrets definitely do degrade our performance, just like how we saw them in episode 4. But even with all this happening, we're still sitting above 100 FPS at 4K max settings, so should be no issue at all playing this game at any setting you want. Alright, I think I'll wrap the video here, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a like and a subscription. We highly appreciate it. See you next time.